All right, out and about. Just might have done a Barastoc dash with Stephen Duffy and John McLean. Firstly, Johnny McLean, welcome to Campbell's Comments for the first time.
Good morning, Paul.
Beautiful Sunday here and a little bit of fun. He can harness a horse, Steve Duffy.
He did. He was far too good for me. It was my idea and I expected to beat him, but there you go.
Spoiler alert, he's far too good for a lot of people. Don't worry about that, but we'll get onto that in another thing. Firstly, mate, I wanted to catch up. And you asked me there before, what are we going to chat about? It's more or less a little bit of the industry and why I suppose sometimes people leave it and come back. But a lot of people may or may not be aware of what you actually achieved in the industry. Firstly, you're a second generation. Are you a third generation?
Third generation.
Third generation. Who was your grandfather?
Filand. He imported horses from England. Yeah, John Filand.
Yep.
He had a farm at Barastoc called Lakevale, still around there now. Yeah, a long time ago. And then my dad, of course, was famous. And I have two sisters, and I'm the youngest, and I'm the most spoilt by my mother. And anyway, we were allowed to start driving when we were 15, and first 5 drives all won. So, you know, things have changed since then. So
I could cover off on a lot of things in this chat. You did tell me we're not allowed to, because as I said, this will stop at 20 minutes. You said it's got to be, no more than 10. My early thoughts, my early memories, some of my earliest memories coming into the game were horses like Rivoli Jack, Bronski Beat, and those horses. The thing that sticks to me was, I suppose, the flamboyance, if you like, of yourself and how you presented them and things like that. And rightfully or wrongly, I actually enjoyed it. Don't worry about that. I'm not going to say a bad thing about it. Where did that all come from? Like your presentation and the way that you present yourself?
Oh, well, I started going out with the opposite sex when I was very young, and I used to like dressing up. And one night I went to the Miracle Mile with a green suit on. That's still Marshall Dobson said, "Oh, what's he going to arrive in tonight?" So I thought I'd better do something different, but it didn't worry me, Used to look after the horses good. And you only get out of the horses what you put into them, as all these harness people will be knowing today. Here it is on a Sunday, and Stephen's here working horses 7 days a week. So what you put into them is what you'll get out of them.
You're 70 years old. You said you started driving at 15. When did you start actually training horses?
Oh, my dad was the trainer then, so probably 18 or something like that. When
you started actually training in your own name?
Yeah.
Your driving career, I mean, I remember you as a training career, and I do remember you driving. Fair to say, what I remember, you're a little bit wild. I suppose you drove a bit like a bloke that wore a green suit from time to time. How would you describe your driving career? How many winners did you drive?
I drove lots of winners, but a very aggressive driver, and of course a gambler then and a gambler today. So, there was always plenty of drivers to drive the horses. If you got rubbed out for cutting someone off on the first turn, which, wasn't good for the industry, and probably why I had a bit of a bad name. But that's the way it was, and it's certainly, my thoughts on it have changed now. And you watch all these young people driving now, and they're great drivers. I watch the races and think I'd go now, and then if I back something, I'd say I wish they'd go now, but they've waited and they still win. Drivers. Taylor French is my favourite driver.
We'll get onto that in a sec, but is that probably, by the sounds of it, a little bit of a regret, and hopefully people learn by their mistakes in a way, what you just said there before, that you just took it because in the moment, when you're living in the moment, you don't see any different, but you step away from the game, which we'll talk on. You have a bit of time to reflect, and you sort of say, well, hang on, what I was doing was good for me at the time, but not necessarily good for the sport?
No, it definitely wasn't good for the sport, Definitely wasn't good for the sport, what I used to do, and probably why I had the name of a bit of a rogue, which was quite true. And, you'd take a horse to the races that you knew couldn't win on a Friday on the 29th of the month, and then you give the poor owner a bill for training it on the 1st of the month. So it wasn't the right thing to do, definitely not.
It's pretty honest and open. I appreciate it, because I like to get people thinking, if you like, on the industry, and quite often I'll do some chats and you'll send me messages ask about this and that, and that honesty, I think, will get more people thinking. It's a different age now, everything's different, social media, and people can see things differently. Back then, I would imagine it would have been so easy to be caught in those moments and in that situation where you say, just get another 2 weeks, it'll be right, I'll be back in 2 weeks, Gav, you can drive them, Steve Duffy, you can drive them, and not worry about it. Whereas now, not only do you have that time to reflect it, but because it is social media, it gets bandied around. You wouldn't have got the flack back then.
No, definitely not. But now the kids have got to be careful because if they get taken off one of the horses, they won't get back on it. So, you know, it's a great sport to be in, and it's very disappointing that it's gone backwards, really. I'm very disappointed about it, and it's probably got something to do with my past because they call them the Red Hots, but they're certainly not anymore.
No, they're not, and we definitely have to change that. I said there before, Rivoli Jack, he was probably my favourite horse. He was a rogue. He had a few little quirks to him in his ways. Who would you say was your best horse that you actually trained?
Oh, he was probably the best, but cutting back on reflecting on a story that our past friend, we all love, Gavin Lang, and Stall Cup one day, he said to me, "Oh, which one do you think you should drive?" I said, "Oh, I think you should drive Bronski Beat today. I'll drive Rivoli Jack." Anyway, Bronski Beat won, and Rivoli Jack was short of a run. And anyway, the next day he come around through the week, he said, "Who am I going to drive in the Kilmore Cup?" I said, "Oh, you should drive Rivoli Jack this week." Well, Rivoli Jack won by half the length of the straight. He was a beautiful, fast horse, and he was sore all his life, you know. He had really bad quarter cracks and bad tendons, and a vet who's Chris Pinocchio's father-in-law, John McLean, a wonderful veterinary surgeon. He kept him going for a long, long time. But reflecting back on the gambling, got a horse called Game Action. Took him to Kilmore for his first start and said to Gavin Lang, "Oh, it's not a bad horse, this one, just give him a look around, he should go all right." And anyway, he took off on him and carted up Bulldog Nicholson on a horse. And anyway, it was in 2 weeks later at Moonee Valley, and he rang up and he said, "Why aren't I driving it?" I said, "Oh, you didn't drive it good at Kilmore." I said, "Brian Gass driving it." So anyway, it went on to win its next 5 races in a row, and probably would have been competitive in a Miracle Mile. Won 5 weeks at Moonee Valley, 5 in a row, and just a fast horse. And he knocked his hip down, and that was the finish of Game Action.
Oh, he had 6 starts, won 5 of them.
Yep.
And so he was up there as a horse that probably people don't know about, that you held in that sort of high regard.
Yeah, yep, very high regard.
What was your biggest thrill as a trainer? Like, what was the best races you did win? Did you win the Queensland Championship up there with Rivoli Jack?
Yeah, and we won the Tasmanian Championships with Ross Conway's horse Void.
Yep.
He was a good horse. But
yeah.
Reflecting back on the gambling things, when I was 17 years old, before I even had a car, I had $80,000 underneath the house at home, so easy come, easy go, still today.
I bet you wish you had that. I bet you wish you had that house now.
Oh, well, it doesn't matter. I've had a wonderful life. I've been all over the world, and here I am, 70 years old, and still enjoying the trotting.
We said I wasn't allowed to go for 20 minutes. Julie just read out 9 minutes. I think we'll do more than one of these. And we'll sit down probably for a bit longer chat. Maybe don't have the cameras on, just to actually chat about it. But you stepped away from the game, and I asked you why, and I'll let you say in your own words why. But was that... No, I'll let you say why you actually stepped away first.
Well, it was probably, you'd say, the height of my career, and I was friends with Vin Knight, and a wonderful man and a wonderful horseman. And when he passed away, I said to myself, I need to reflect on this, working 7 days a week. And I had a nice farm at Toolan Vale and a nice lot of horses, and I sold the farm and went around Australia for a year, and that was it. And when I come back, I said to my wife, I said, I've never had a job in my life. She said, well, why don't you get one? So I went and worked for the government in child protection for about 25 years, and so worked for the government for about 25 years. Yeah.
Saw a different side, I would imagine, to life. Something that probably a lot of people don't think about, especially with child protection.
No. Well, all the money in the world you put into your children won't fix them. It's time that makes them good. And certainly anybody that has children, the best thing is to spend time with them.
And be with them. That you also drove. Did you drive a limo for a while? Did I hear? Was that always just an urban myth that you were driving a limo?
That was an urban limo. Never drove a limo. No.
You didn't drive a limo. You've come back into the sport. I gave you a hit living here somewhere near the Golden Valley, albeit just breaking pre-training. Are you training any?
No, Stephen gave me a horse called You Betcha, and we've got a sign in our kitchen it's called You Betcha, because he won one night at Bendigo and we had a good win on him. So You Betcha was good to me.
Why did you get back into the sport? Like you said there before, you had the highs and the lows, and probably parts of the industry you weren't that proud of. But why did you come back into the industry?
Well, I've always followed it, and when I come 7 years ago to live in the Goulburn Valley, I was still working in the child protection, and the rules, the way they look after people changed, and I actually come to help Stephen out for a few days, and then Len Parker, of obviously all the horses with the moths, said to me, did I want to break the horses in? So for the last 5 years I've broken in the moth horses and all Peter Gleason's horses, so have some beautiful horses to break in.
Do you enjoy that part of it, like a lot lower key than the Johnny McLean back in the halcyon days?
Yes, I do enjoy that a lot more, and following their career and handing them over to top trainers and seeing them all go ahead. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing.
As a man that was flamboyant, it is, if you ask me, one of the things that is missing, definitely here in Victoria at the minute. There's not a lot of flamboyant. There's a lot of people that condition horses beautifully, though, and turn them out. Do you like the way the industry, I suppose, we portray our horses on the racetrack first? And we'll get on to the other parts of it in a sec. But do you like the way we portray the industry?
I sort of do, but I sort of don't. I mean, you go to the gallops and people get interviewed well dressed and that sort of thing, and people in the harness, it's what people look for, People looking on the television, that's what they look. They say, look at that bloke there, he's got jeans and a T-shirt on, and he's training $1 million horses. It shouldn't happen. There should be a dress code.
Do you think we worry too much what other people think? So sometimes when we do the presentation, like I'll never wear a green shirt, but I'm okay wearing floral shirts and silly hats if it makes people aware of the game. Do you think that we need more people, I suppose, to be brave and show the sort of person they are?
Well, of course we do. People follow people like that. It's any footballer. Any footballer that's out there, they'll follow him. And the same sort of thing. If you're out there and someone different, people will hear about you. They want to talk about you.
The game now, it's one that's a little bit harder to win on the punt. Do you still punt?
Oh, yeah, never changed that. Yeah, but it is very hard to win on the punt because everyone wants to win. So it's very competitive, and it gets down to the way the driver drives the horses and the times they run, and it's a lot different to when I used to do it. So it's good though. Do you like it better? Like, I mean, a lot of the things you see on social media, people say, they mention the Kilmore Cup and they say how it used to be. It will never go back to being how it used to be. But do you actually like the way the industry parts of it are going, and you can see areas where we can improve? Yeah, I like it. Like there's six furlong races, but they don't promote them. They don't, spend money and say there's going to be a 6 furlong race. Watch it. It's going to go like a dog race, Watch it.
Yep. Yeah, you enjoy the 1200?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's good to see.
That's interesting because a lot of there's a lot of backwards and forwards on that. You said there before about drivers. Taylor French is one of your favourites. Do you enjoy the young group? Like I love it. You talk about back in your day. I mean, lady drivers, there was probably a handful of them. Debbie Quinlan, Rita Burnett's, those ones probably were a handful. Helen Benjer. Now, I mean, every race, if there's not 2 or 3 girls in it, do you enjoy the way, that the young people are in this game, and we probably don't sell them either well enough?
Yes, because they do the form. They understand all these kids, It's like when you go to a doctor. I'd much sooner go to a doctor who's young because he's learned off the older people, and these young kids have all learned off the older people, and they've had really good mentors, and they're doing a great job.
Definitely could chat to you for a long time, and I think we will do that. We'll sit down one day, have a cup of coffee or two, and chat about past horses and that. There'll be a few people said I should touch on it a little bit more. Are you training any at the minute?
I need the breakers at the moment. Yeah, I need the breakers. So.
Are you going to get another one in train?
Yeah, I'm going to get another one shortly. Yeah. I won't tell you its name because I want to back it before I tell you it.
Duff's here, Steve Duff. He's 10 years your junior. He's still got his driver's licence. You still got yours?
No, I don't have mine anymore. Used to have to carry lead. Used to have to be 10 stone in those days. Well, I'm far too heavy. And I'm sure it's push a barrow full of bricks and a barrow empty of bricks, and you know which one will go faster. So therefore you should always employ the light drivers. It must make a difference.
Well, I noticed you're looking at Duff there. I don't know what you're saying there with Duff.
No, he's a good person.
He's a great person, bit of fun, mate. I really appreciate it. You were the one that got in touch with me. And as I said, quite often I'll bring stuff up on some of my shows and that, and you'll be messaging me backwards and forwards about stuff that I don't know about. And I think that's one of the things I enjoy about our game, is being able to, I suppose, you can't go forward if you don't remember the past. That's one of the great things that was told to me. So
we'll close with the Trotters, how much the Trotters have improved, but there'll never ever be another Mary's Idol. So long as I've been around this champion Trotters, but there'll never be another Mary's Idol.
That was on Talking Trotters last week, and we were mentioning his record. And were you there when he beat the Pacers?
I was in the race. Yeah, I was in the race when he beat the Pacers in Clive Viewer Championships in Tasmania, in Queensland, going the other way.
Yeah, was it at Rockhampton? Is it where it was? Or?
No, that was at Albion Park when they used to run the other way. Yeah. He went past Sammy Caramia with Brian Healy hanging out the back of the cart.
What sort of horse was he like?
Beautiful horse, beautiful looking horse. Just fast.
Yep. You actually had you love fast horses. Bronski beat Rivoli Jack. That was their forte. They were explosively fast horses.
Yeah.
You had a soft spot for those explosive horses, didn't you?
I got a soft spot for Serge Blanco. He's been good to us.
Yeah. Thanks, mate. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate having a little bit of fun, having a good chat too. I appreciate a lot of the insight that you've just given. Hopefully we get some people thinking, but I will say probably in a month or two we just might sit down for a bit of a long chat, and I'll get some names ready. I'm sure people will send me names to run past you. We'll get some names and we'll chat on those and just have a bit of a recap. But thank you very much, Johnny, and stay in the sport. Keep doing what you're doing, mate. I love it.
Righto. Good luck. Thank you.
Woodland Stud takes pride in their involvement in the industry, both on and off the track, supporting harness racing through sponsorship from grassroots to feature racing, giving breeders access to world-class stallions who go on to produce world-class racehorses, selling progeny at sales from some of Australasia's strongest families. Harness racing is our passion, and we will continue to strive for greatness. Your success is our success. Share the dream with Woodland Stud.